Larson, if you have a question for either of them, please raise your hand. We'll get you a mic. We'll start off right with questions, and we'll start with Zach. We'll start with here in the middle with Zach.
Zach Sterniola with NASCAR.com. Really for either one of you guys, just with the backdrop here looking as strong as it did last year, coming back a second year, how important is it for this event to be back a second consecutive year with everything that you guys have learned over the past year with this car?
Yeah, I don't know. I think this is just a great location for a race, kind of in the urban parts of the city. And, there's probably not a lot of race fans around here, so it's good to introduce our sport to them and hopefully get some fans out of it. And I thought last year's event was amazing. I thought NASCAR and everybody did a great job pulling it off, and the show aspect of it too was really, really good. So glad to have it back again for a second year. I'm sure, although things went really smooth last year, I'm sure there was a lot of things that NASCAR could learn from and apply to this year. So excited to get on track here in a little bit and see another great show.
A couple in the front here.
Kyle Foster, Napa Sports News. Hey guys, so obviously stage breaks have been eliminated. They're just going to keep the race green at road courses. What's your reaction to that? Kyle, you're a winner at Sonoma. Chase, you've run good there. I'm curious what your reaction are for that race later in the year.
I would just say that I don't have a problem with that. I feel like your race was really, the strategy of your race was extremely already pretty much done based on when the stage breaks were. So we'll have to kind of see. I haven't really looked at what it's going to look like, when you have to stop and things. But I know that those stages really dictated a lot of the strategy in the past. So I don't think it'll be bad.
Luis
Torres, the podium finish. The question is for Kyle. Of course, at the end of last year, things turned around after the Charlotte Roval. How important is it going into this season to have that strong start to build momentum going forward?
Yeah, I think it's always important to start the year off strong, and there's been years where I've struggled the first few races, and then you kind of feel like you're digging yourself out of a hole from the very beginning. So, although it's a long season, it's definitely important to get off to a good start and kind of shape the scope of your season and how you prepare for each race and how you call each race. So, that's definitely the goal, is to win every race, but early in the year you want to finish well to get off on the right foot.
Anything else for Chase? We'll go to Bob and then Jeff.
Bob Pockris, Fox Sports. Kyle, after Martinsville last year, you were a little critical maybe of Logano's move or Chastain's move there at the end. What did you think of NASCAR's decision to say that won't be allowed going forward?
No, I think it's good. It's cool. It did some good things for our sport. I don't think it would have been good to see happen every week. So, making a call on it is good, and we won't see it anymore. So, it's nice.
Go to Jeff, then Dustin.
Yeah, I'm curious for both of you guys. At least at the Cup level, the concept of sending people home and having guys not make the show for a race like this is still kind of new. But what do you guys think of that? Could that be something that sticks around maybe in other races at some point? Not every week, but for certain occasions.
I think it's a good thing. I don't see where it hurts anything at all. So I'm fine with that, and I feel like like Kyle said, I thought the event last year was good, and ended up kind of all figuring itself out, I guess, in the end, and I feel like most of the time it's going to do that. So yeah, I'm good with it.
Me? I come from the land of B mains and stuff, and people miss the show, and it makes those consolation races really intense. And as we saw last year, I think it adds a storyline. Even though it's not nearly as intense at Daytona, you see it every year in the duels, and that's really the coolest part about the duels is seeing those guys race and follow their pit strategy and pit stops, and if they keep up with the draft or lose it, and it makes the Daytona 500 for those teams and every team really probably mean more and much more special to make it because you had to earn your way in. So and when you're getting rid of cars, you see your field's big, and that shows that the sport's healthy. So I think it's good, and if we introduce those, if we have big enough car counts, we have to send people home every week. I think it's something that's exciting.
Dustin?
Dustin Long, NBC Sports. One for Kyle, one for Chase. First for Kyle. Dave Allen of Auto Club Speedway stated earlier today that they won't race at Auto Club Speedway in 2024, making the conversion to the shorter track. Still trying to figure out the timeline for 2025. You won there last year. I guess kind of what's your thoughts about that track being converted and also being off the schedule for a year, maybe 2 years before it returns?
Yeah, I talked to him just briefly over there, and I don't know. I mean, it's definitely a long process for them to reconfigure not only the track, but I'm sure a lot of the facilities. So I think he said it's like 18-month or something project. So pretty intense. And I know with California and all the codes that you have to go through, it's hard to have everything probably stay on schedule. So I don't know. I think I don't know exactly the extent of what they're doing with the track and how big it's going to be and the shape and banking and all that. But and I love the 2-mile track, but I think the more short tracks we can have, the better off our sport's going to be. So neat that they're investing that money to try and grow racing in California, but also help NASCAR.
And for Chase, for so many years, and you've been around long enough now, the debate is how much is the driver, how much is the car? And for so often, you guys would often say it's probably like 80-90% of the car. With this new car, how much more does the driver have control of things? How much more is the driver playing a factor? Are you sensing or getting a feel of having more of an input than when you first came in or early years with that car?
I think that that's a really tough debate. I'm not sure you've ever heard me say those exact numbers, but nonetheless, I don't get me wrong. I think everyone has to have something good to drive, no matter how good or bad of a race car driver you are. But you can be, you can be in a really good car and not necessarily be putting yourself into positions to have as much success as you need to be doing too. So I think you still have to have a horse to ride, in my opinion. Not really, no.
We'll go to the back.
Don Hopkins, frontstretch.com. For both of you, with both of you being really successful on road courses in the past, what were your thoughts on the elimination of stage breaks, and how much of a difference is it going to make when you go there?
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's good. I think I always thought it was odd in a road course that you would, pit early before a stage, just so you could flip it, and that's just not like racing to me. So I think being able to race from start to finish is good. So and I honestly I haven't even followed along with the rules updates. So I don't know the exact rule or what so. But I think that's been something that teams and drivers have been trying to get NASCAR to do for the last few years. So it's nice that they listened, and I think it's going to be better for the overall race.
Go stay in the back, Michael.
Michael Massey, front stretch. So Christopher Bell is just out here talking about kind of the limit he has on dirt racing this year. You guys both obviously race a lot out of the Cup Series. Kyle, you got something pretty big coming up next year in May. But I just wondered, do you guys have any kind of limit, like for this year, for the racing you can do outside of Cup? And like, how would you react if you were kind of given that strict of a, kind of Cup racing for your safety only kind of limit?
I personally have not heard of a limit on myself at Hendrick Motorsports. That's something I'm very grateful for because I have lived those days at Ganassi when I had, when I first started, I couldn't even race a dirt race, and then I slowly got more, and 15 turned to 20, 20 turned to 25, and it's easy to race 25 times. I mean, I do that in the off season a lot of times. So I'm glad now that I don't have a limit. And you know, 4 or 5 years ago, Hendrick was kind of opposite. You know, where it seemed like Gibbs guys could go race stuff and Hendrick guys couldn't. And the culture, I guess, kind of changed a little bit, and you were able to race. And I think Hendrick also realized that we have a lot less track time in NASCAR now. You know, we don't get to test as much as the guys did back in the day. We don't. Shoot, in 2020 and 21, we didn't have any practice at all. We just show up and race. So I think they understood that and really opened their eyes to allow their drivers to go stay sharp and race other things. So it's a bummer that Christopher is not allowed to run, because I know it's obviously a huge passion of his, and I believe it makes me a better race car driver, you know, the more often I can race. So I know the same would be for him, and I know there's also risks that go along with it, but I think those risks or the reward outweighs the risk. So, but you know, everybody's deal is different, and I mean, I don't know, I can't speak for Joe, but I would personally love to see Christopher out there. I think it's good for grassroots racing. It's good for NASCAR racing to have more of us be allowed to go compete outside of NASCAR.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think that obviously I don't know the inner workings of his operation, so you know, it's hard for me to speak on that much. But I haven't raced as much as him outside of NASCAR, but I enjoy the opportunities that I do get to go do it, and appreciate them letting us do it. And I really think a lot of it is just as long as we're putting our focus on this, which I think we can all agree very easily that is where our focus is, then they're good with it, and they've kind of let us dictate that. And you know, I personally appreciate the freedom to make that decision. I think Kyle does as well. And you know, this is always going to be the priority for each and every one of us, no matter what. So I think as long as that's the case, then I think it's all good.
Anything else for Chase or Kyle? I'll wrap up here in the back with Jeff Gluck.
Who is the GOAT in NASCAR?
I don't know. I think my GOAT would be Jimmy. I mean, you look at, I guess the way I look at it, and I'm probably biased because I got to compete with him, but just the quality of competition and car, this, you know, in his era was in my opinion much more difficult. So that's why he would be, you might go, anyone 5 in a row, like that's crazy.
Yeah, I would agree, and I was going to mention the 5 in a row. I mean, I know the seven gets talked about a lot, but that 5 in a row thing doesn't get talked about enough, in my opinion. I mean, I know the format was different, but makes it a little more possible to do, but still, like, that's a tall order. That's pretty impressive.
Thank you.
Chase, Kyle, thank you so much for the time, and good luck
Thanks.
tomorrow.